Today, we're going to take a look at an elegant, easy to navigate, and super effective portfolio. It's by Katherine Porter, and Katherine landed her instructional designer role at a large pharmaceutical research and development company in less than 2 months of starting her job search. Talk about effective. Let's take a look at it and see what actionable takeaways you can start applying to your own portfolio of projects to help you stand out in a crowded market, make a great first impression, and land a role that you're super excited about. Hello, I'm Sabrina, and I'm really excited to show you this beautiful portfolio that was built in Canva. As a Bootcamp Pro, I got to work with Katherine by giving her feedback on all of her deliverables from her flagship project to her portfolio. And it was fantastic working with Katherine because she was always very good about seeking out feedback and then implementing that feedback to make sure that she was always creating the best product that she could. So she's phenomenal. Right now, she is working as an instructional designer at a very large pharmaceutical research and development company. And from what I hear, she is loving it and really learning a lot on the job. Be sure to stay tuned because at the end of this video, we'll be able to hear from Katherine about how she landed this role. On this channel, we've looked at a lot of portfolios, a lot built on Webflow, Squarespace, Google Sites, but we haven't seen one built on Canva. So I'm really excited to show some of those features as well. Katherine shared some insider scoop on the parts that went into building this portfolio, so I'm excited to share those with you as well. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, here we are on Katherine's portfolio, and right when you get there, you can really see how elegant it is. The color palette she used is very professional. The fonts she uses are very polished, just giving her overall portfolio a very clean look. And I love what she did. So let's start from the top and really dig into everything. This color palette that we see, even just from like this darker grayish brown up here, the white, the black, the tan here, she is consistent using that throughout. And it's really nice because she is doing some of this like color blocking that helps break up sections. And that, again, is consistent throughout this entire portfolio. I love her logo because, again, it captures this like elegance that she's going for throughout. Katherine did say that she was very big on aesthetics, and that's why she ultimately turned to Canva, is she knew the look that she wanted, and Canva was what was able to give her that look. And so her portfolio is very elegant, and the logo kind of matches that whole, that just like elegant experience. In the nav bar, everything here is really easy to read and it's easy to navigate. We know exactly what, if we click on featured project, we are going to see a featured project. If we click about, we're going to learn more about her. So that makes it very nice for the user to navigate things. What I really like too is some of these design elements that Katherine is using. You can see here her image, so it's a little bit more slanted, like we get this cutoff here. But it's nice because she's leaning towards the text. And so, well, not only do we see this like great inviting professional photo of Katherine, but even just like the way she's leaning, this diagonal really draws us back to this text. There's really great hierarchy, right? This is really big text. Hi, I'm Katherine. Draws us right in. Friendly, exciting, definitely matches her personality. And then we draw back down to this value statement. I build engaging learning experiences that empower individuals and meet business goals. She gets right down to business, right? She tells us exactly what she is going to do. So if I was a hiring manager and I read this, I see she's going to help us meet our business goal. Perfect. And she empowers individuals. She's not just throwing content at people hoping it sticks. She is helping them learn so that they feel empowered to continue and be great at their jobs. No surprise why she was able to land a role so quickly. Just even from this, like you can tell what she is all about. So fantastic hero section here. And then the let's connect. Not only does the text come down and meet us and like lead us right to the button to like get in contact, but she has this really subtle animation here where it's not in your face and just like flashing bright colors or anything. It's very subtle, right? There's this like little underlining that draws your eye and makes you want to click this button, makes you want to get in contact with her. So I love that. She does a really great job with just these little design pieces, little animations that you'll notice throughout that I think are very effective in helping the user navigate her portfolio. All right, let's keep going. In the featured project section, again, she's keeping with those fonts, only using 2 fonts, which is wonderful. One for a little bit of contrast, and then the other one, she's gaining that contrast by using different sizes and different weights. Like this is a little bit more bold than this one is. And that helps the contrast, gives us some like variations in the text, which is perfect. She has really great alignment. So you can see everything here is left aligned. In a hero section, totally okay to have stuff centered. These are only 2 lines of text and 2 lines of text. It's not too much jumping around for the eye. But when things do get a little bit longer, left aligning is really helpful because it gives your viewer an anchor point as they're looking at the text. Like I said, the hierarchy here is great. I know what I'm looking at. I have a general idea, but if I want to learn more, there's even more text. And again, it draws me to the button to get more details. Not only that, she did use a really great screenshot and created a mock-up here where we can get like a little glimpse into that project. And don't worry, we will take a quick little peek at it also, because it's also great. So yeah, I really love what she did here. The spacing is all good. And then even the white space that she has down the side, again, is really great. If you use white space intentionally, it really helps draw your viewer to the things you want them to see. So here I see there's white space like margin on the side. That's drawing me to all the content inside. If we keep going, this does get animated in, which I think when I scrolled, it already showed. But this little thing like comes in and shows, like I said, she does a really great job of these like little subtle design elements that get animated in to draw your attention. The what people are saying section is really important. If you can show like why people should work with you, fantastic. So getting testimonials from people can be really helpful. The approach that I love that Katherine took here is pulling out these little pieces. She really highlights what she wants you to latch on to when it comes to working with her. So you get these little like tidbits, positive, supportive, collaborative. Well, now I want context, so I'm going to read the rest of this. So I love that. I think it was great. Even using this like brown here, the color that she pulls like from her logos, keeping everything very on theme. Next, we have this like end section here at the end of her portfolio that I think is really, really fantastic. Because she's using this like blocking here, right? So we have the white, the tan, the white, this like grayish color, grayish brown. It really helps to like really section things, and it doesn't make anything feel overwhelming. Sometimes, if there's a lot going on, it can feel just like too much, like a lot is going on. But having these like color blocks really help to break things up and make everything feel like its own, give it its own spotlight. So I think that was a very smart choice on her end for sure. All right, here, same thing, a little about me. We can learn more. And here, I love this because it's not so much just her about me piece. It isn't so much just on like who I am of like, I like to go hiking or what. It's very much who she is as a professional. Not saying those personal things aren't beneficial. It is great to know those people that you're choosing to work with, right? But here she's very like I said earlier, straight to business. We know that she's a problem solver, a learner, and she's going to help us like reach our business goals. So great stuff here. And then it is just a little blurb. It's not a bunch. If you want to learn more, you can. And again, that alignment helps draw us to that button. Another great photo that is warm and inviting that makes you want to talk to her and know more. This section down here, I do really love what she did. I think you're going to hear me saying that throughout, that I love what she did here. Because I really do overall in this whole portfolio love a lot of the decisions that she made. She again gives us this like kind of a value statement to pull us in. Let's make meaningful learning experiences together. Right? That meaningful learning. That's what she does. She wants to help you do that. And so I really like that. And then here we have our ways to get in contact with her. So it's a little bit different than like a normal footer you would see, but I do think it's very effective. Using some of these like graphical elements really helps draw us into those pieces. And then we can click to email her, to connect with her on LinkedIn, and then we know where she's based, which is great if you're looking for a hybrid or on-site instructional designer. You know already if she's going to be in the area where you can contact her. And then here we see that the footer mirrors the nav bar up at the top, which again helps with that easy navigation, because if I was like, oh, at the top, I know after this I want to read more about her, and I'm down here, well, I see it here and I can get to those sections. So I really appreciate that she mirrored it, because again, it makes that a navigation very, very easy to move around. Talking with Katherine, she told me a little bit more about why she chose Canva because of the aesthetic. But as she was working in Canva, there wasn't just one template that really caught her eye, but it was more just like, oh, pieces from this template and this one, and pulling those together. But what you would never guess by looking at her portfolio is that she did like take pieces from other spots because she did a great job of making everything feel very cohesive. If I was looking at this, you would either think that she built this from scratch because she made everything like flow really well, or it was a template that she had already chosen. But that's not the case. She took different pieces, made it match, and made it work. She did also share that because she took pieces from different templates in Canva, that made it a little bit harder with responsiveness, so making it look good on a mobile device. So she put in a lot of extra work to make sure that it did respond appropriately. And like I said, I gave her some feedback and worked with her through this process. And I know we did a lot of back and forth on making sure it looked really good on mobile. And she did a phenomenal job troubleshooting and making it work for her. Because again, she wanted this portfolio to really represent her and show off the work that she can do. And she did a great job making everything work. The consistency that we see here on this landing page doesn't stop here. We're going to see it in our other pages as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at those next. Let's take a look at her featured project. So this is Katherine's flagship project. Here, once we land, you see those animations. Again, pulling your eye. So the text animated in, and then this picture was slowly coming in. And I love that because it gives you time to read the text, and then we have this visual drawing us in again. Up in the nav bar, we have the featured project is underlined. Really helpful to make sure we know what page we're on. So just subtle things like that. Sometimes you'll see it in a different color. The font is in a different color, or it's bolded, or a combination of these different things. But this nice little underline tells us we are on the featured project page. Wonderful, easy navigation. We're seeing still consistent fonts and that color theme. Love all of this. And again, drawing our eye to the button to experience this project. Next, I really like this overview section. So we know the audience, we know who she built this for, we know what she did, and we know what tool she used. Again, having these little visual pieces up at the top draw your eye and want you to read these. Katherine also does a good job of that throughout her write-up of really giving us anchor points with visuals and then the text to go along with it. One thing I didn't mention on the landing page was another part that makes this easy to navigate is the way that she labeled her buttons. Like this one, experience the project. I know if I click that button, I am going to see this project that she's talking about. If it says read more, like in the About Me section, I know that I'm going to read more about her. All of her buttons are clearly labeled, making things easy to navigate. It is sometimes fun when you see on websites these like quirky labels for buttons, but if it's not clear to your user what that button's going to do, they may not click it. So you want to make sure those labels are very clear. Katherine does a good job of that. Okay, this page, like I said, it tells us a little bit about who this is for. This is really her process write-up where we see all the decisions she makes and why she made those decisions as she was creating her flagship project. I definitely recommend taking a look at it. She does a great job of explaining a lot of the decisions that she made and the process that she went through to create this, and giving us like why she chose the solution she did. This part is really great. So the process write-up can get very long when you are explaining all of these different pieces. And you want to show off those pieces, right? So you want to show what you can do. You want to talk about all of the great work that you put into this. And it can get really long. There are some ways to make it not feel so long. On my own portfolio, I have like a little video at the top where I highlight some of the key pieces. But I really like what Katherine does. She makes it easy for the viewer to navigate. So if I am a recruiter and I'm like, I wonder what went into the full development of this, there's a button and I can scroll down to that right away. And so she has these buttons of all the different pieces of her process where we can click and it's going to take us down to that section. So I think that was a very smart choice too, because like I said, the process write-up can get a little bit long, but helping someone navigate in that way just makes it really easy. So she goes through all of her pieces. She has really great screenshots, making sure they're really crisp. That is important. You can show a screenshot, but if it's not clear what's happening in that screenshot, it's probably going to hurt you more than help you. All right. Yeah, like I said, I definitely recommend reading through her her write-up because it is really great. And then as we scroll down, we get to see some of these like great screenshots, which really makes you want to experience the project because I'm seeing these really great visuals and I want to click, and we will. What I like too is, like on the landing page, she has testimonials about working with her. And then here she has testimonials about her project. Another great thing to do is getting that like real-time feedback from people who have experienced your project, learners specifically if you can, stakeholders, or if it's a conceptual piece, getting it out to other instructional designers or things like that in the community to just get their thoughts and see what the reaction is. Katherine does a good job of pulling out pieces like this. Like we saw in the testimonial, she had those pieces at the top. Here, she's using some bolded text to really let you know what these sections are about, draw you in to continue reading. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at her project. This learning experience that Katherine built is geared towards managers, so Katherine kept it very professional, and her characters help to keep the learning experience really warm and inviting, which is great for the subject matter that she is talking about in this learning experience. And Katherine was really thoughtful in creating a very learner-centered learning experience. She thought about where her learners are coming from, how they're going to respond to this kind of content, and just really made it about the learners. So I highly recommend checking it out. She did a great job, again, with her characters. They're inviting. She has some diversity, which really makes the learning relevant for sure. So definitely check it out. And there's lots of good things to look at and use in your own project. All right, as we go back to Katherine's portfolio, we do have this really long process write-up, right, where we can navigate as needed with the buttons above, but she doesn't just leave us hanging, right? She has this to experience the project. And throughout, she has this button encouraging us to experience the project. Another really great idea is throughout that write-up, give your viewers some calls to action. Typically experiencing the project, you want them to see it and see the work that you did. We see this consistent banner at the bottom, just like we saw on the landing page where she gives us the value statement, ways to contact her, and then the footer. Again, I think this is a great piece that she added, reminding that viewer again to get in contact with her. Let's head over to the About page and see what we got over here. Again, very consistent. Everything is consistent. You see those animations, and that is another crucial part. When you're adding animations to your e-learning experiences or even to your portfolio, you want to stay consistent. If text is coming from all different directions, that makes it hard for your viewer to predict where they should be looking to find information. So keeping it consistent, they know the text is always going to be flying in from the left or whatever it is, and they know what to expect. Same with the images. She has this slow like grow in like effect happening. We know what to expect. Just like we saw in that hero section on the landing page, the very first piece we saw, there's this little like animation saying like, hey, look over here, let's connect, get in contact with me. So I love that. I think that's great. Using Canva for the portfolio really makes it easy to add in these different animation pieces. And you can hover over the different things to kind of get a preview, click on them, play around with the animations. But it does make it really easy to add animations to your portfolio website. So Canva is a great option of building your portfolio. This is a thing that we've seen before where she is using either different size fonts, different weights to really draw pieces in. And then, yeah, another great inviting picture. We can see the laptop here. She is ready to get to work. It definitely makes you want to connect with her and talk to her to see what she can do for you. I also love that she kept the About Me very short. It tells us just like the quick things that we need to know about her. Then we get to know her a little bit more on a personal level. So here we get all the business side, and then here we just get to know Katherine as a person. And then again, ending with this really nice banner. This consistency here with the banner is great because it does like keep inviting us to get in contact with her. All right, and then last but not least, we're going to take a look at her contact page. So again, we're keeping with this very consistent color palette, the font, everything. It all is blending in really well. And we still get this banner here at the bottom. And you remember originally with Katherine's type form here where you can contact her, she did put her logo. So like there was the text filled on one side and then the logo on the other side. that wasn't working with the mobile view. For some reason, it wasn't being responsive. So she adapted and made it work for her. But still keeping that consistency with color really helps keep everything cohesive. And now it responds well and looks really good. I highly recommend that you take a look through Catherine's portfolio. There's a lot of really good things happening here. She did really enjoy using Canva, again, because it gave her the aesthetic that she was looking for. And she was able to take different pieces from different templates. So don't be afraid to do that. I know when you are looking at a template, you may feel like you're going to break it, and that's okay. Break a template, that's fine. Make it individual to you. That is another really important part of a portfolio, is it should represent you as an instructional designer. It definitely should be showing what you can do for businesses, but it should also reflect you as an instructional designer. You don't want it to just be a cookie cutter portfolio. Let it represent you. So take a look at Catherine's portfolio. She does some really, really great things here. And I definitely encourage you to look at her flagship project. It is really great too. She did a great job with storytelling and just the language she used to keep things professional, but friendly and open. All right. I also sat down and interviewed Katherine to learn a little bit more about her experience working with us in the boot camp and then how she landed this role. So I'm going to turn it over to her so that she can tell you more about that.
So before the boot camp, I was definitely at a fork in the road as far as careers were concerned. I'd been in education and teaching for the better part of 10 to 12 years. When COVID happened, like a lot of teachers, I was reassessing what the next steps were. And just to be more accessible for my family, I actually left my tenured teaching position and was taking on contract roles with school districts for 1 year at a time or long-term substitute roles. And even before I left my tenured position, I was starting to feel a little bit of that burnout. And for me, it was the emotional tax that comes with teaching was so high. And I had young kids, and I was really considering the longevity and the sustainability of that tax and of that type of life. So I would say even before I left my tenured position, I had been trying to figure out what to do next from a long-term perspective. But definitely after I left, I was in and out of my teaching roles while parallel trying to figure out a way to get into kind of corporate teaching with something that was a little bit more stable of a job, something that provided a little bit better work-life balance. Um, and I took a couple of different avenues to try and get there. I have a background in business, and I thought, with my background in business paired with my education background, it was kind of this perfect merriment of a candidate. And so I did the first avenue, which was just apply, and really hope something works out. And that fork kind of ended at a dead end. And so I went back to a contract role. And then I tried actually reaching out and working with a resume writer. So I said, okay, I still have all these experiences. I still have all these skills that I feel like match what the job descriptions are. And I just need someone to help me get my resume to look and feel like what recruiters are looking for. And so I hired a resume writer, and we redid my resume, and it was updated and it looked better. And I sent it out, and I still had no response. And so I went back to a long-term sub role and kind of had this, experience of these backs and forths. And when this last sub role ended, I went back to research, and I was like, well, how can I get into this world of corporate learning and development? And I came across instructional design as a title. And then I did a bunch more research, and that's ultimately what brought me to Gatlin's Bootcamp, because I realized, if I can upskill some technical skills, maybe that's the competitive advantage or the open door that I need to help people kind of see the skills that I have and how applicable they are to what they're looking for. So the progression with the boot camp, starting out with the technical stuff and just really kind of diving in deep to the ins and outs of storyline was great. I mean, Devlin's course, you can tell he's really thought about every single aspect. And I mean, I think he even says at one point in multiple points in it, he's like, this might be too detailed, or this might be, something that you already know. And the level of information, I can tell you on the other side, like now being in practice, I use every single part of the storyline skills that he taught, and everything I have questions about now, I can kind of go back and reference where I'm like, oh yeah, that was in when he taught about XYZ. So the experience and the level of the detail with the technical stuff was really great. And then going through the portfolio process with you as my mentor, and then with the community was also such a wonderful experience. Everybody is very supportive. I mean, you get a group of teachers together and it's like this positive party of like, you can do it. And this looks really good and try this. And it's all about growth. And I think that's just a really good place to be when you're trying to do something new, or you're trying to upskill, or you're trying to change something. So I just only have really positive things to say about the whole journey. And I want to add, there's also that, working in the field component where you can come back even when you've finished the program and you still peek. Even when I was going through the program, you're peeking at what are people talking about? What are they thinking about? What's on their minds in all these different industries. And it gives like a very global perspective on what's going on in the ID industry, or the L&D industry in general. So I thought it was very comprehensive. Well, I don't know that I would be where I am today, certainly without the boot camp. My technical skills, I have skills that I didn't have when I started the boot camp back in September. Not only computer skills, but critical thinking skills in a way. I like to think that I'm a pretty good critical thinker and very reflective, but I think what you get from the boot camp experience is you get to see how other people who have done ID or instructional design for a while are thinking about problem solving, are thinking about looking at a learning module. And you start to absorb in your conversations and in your work and in their feedback, you kind of absorbing those skills yourself. So, I've been in my role for about a month, and I feel very strongly that the reason that I can kind of hop into things and kind of hit the ground running is because I had those months where I was kind of already absorbing learning. I was kind of already getting that head start. I also wanted to add, like, I feel like I'm at a point in my career now where I can look forward and say, this is what I want to do next. And there are a lot more possibilities and open doors. And I feel like I'm no longer kind of running away from something that doesn't fit anymore. I'm really excited to be where I am. And so that allows me to think more proactively about, where do I want to take this ID journey, this ID career of mine. And that's a really exciting place to be too, because it means all that struggle, there's affirmation that it was worth it. And, on the other side, and it's hard to see that when you're in the thick of the transition and change. So I've been there for about a month, but I am already about ready to deliver my first project, which was a pretty quick turnaround, which is very satisfying in a lot of ways because it's immediate application of everything and kind of diving in. It's also been really busy, but good busy. The group that I work for, we do mostly trainings related to ensuring quality for different products. It's not work that I thought I would do when I entered instructional design, but I am learning a ton, not only about the industry, but about detail. Like this particular group is very detail oriented for good reason, right? Quality products are really important to what they produce. And so it's helping me kind of think about things in a different way too. And my day to day might be, some days I'm working with SMEs to understand what it is exactly that I need to incorporate into learning. Some days I am storyboarding and putting together a concept. And then most recently, kind of when you get to the end, I've been doing a lot of building. And so it really does follow that progression that we do and that process that we do in the boot camp. So very applicable.
I hope you found this portfolio review and Catherine's story to be inspiring. If you'd like to work with us in the bootcamp, we are currently in the middle of a launch and applications are closing in just a few days on May 31st. You can learn more by going to idbootcamp.com. We'd love to work with you throughout the summer and beyond to help you become an instructional designer. Take a look at Catherine's portfolio. Again, there's lots of great things in there that you can start implementing in your portfolio and projects. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.